Okay, hello everybody. We are studying 94, Daf 94 tonight, Sadi Dalid. We're going to be learning two Mishnayot. The first one is about carrying live and dead things with the principle that Chai Noseh et Atzmo, things that are alive, in some way carry their own weight. And so that'll be an interesting discussion. And then the second Mishnah for discussion will be about cutting nails and hair, which actually has some practical halachot. So we'll start off with the Mishnah. It says, Hamosi ochalin pachot mikashior bakeli patur af al hakeli shakeli tefela lo. That's an interesting case. If you carry food less than a shiur, but you carry it in a basket, so you're patur on the food because it's less than a shiur, less than a fig size. And you're patur even on the basket because the basket, you're only carrying the basket in order to carry the food in it. So it's kind of ironic that if you carried an empty basket, you'd be chayav because you're carrying a basket. But a basket with a little bit of food in it, your goal is not to carry the basket, but rather just the little bit of food. And so you're patur altogether. And Gemara will discuss the case of what if you want the food, but you also want the basket, you want the bag to be there. Okay, that's the first case. Second case, etahai b'mita patur af al hamita shamita tefela lo. If you're carrying a live person on a bed or a stretcher, then also patur on carrying the live person, because we'll see chai noseh et atzmo. If there's a live person, he balances himself, he could walk, and so carrying him is not considered carrying him. And since you're carrying on the stretcher, but the stretcher is only there in order to carry the person, so the stretcher is batel, it's nullified, it's not important because it's only there to service the person that you're carrying, and so that is patur altogether. However, et hamet b'mita hayav. If you carry a dead body in a stretcher, then the person is chayav both for carrying the dead body and for carrying the stretcher. וכן כזית מן המת וכזית מן הנבלה וחדשה מן השרץ חייב. And so too, even not a whole corpse, but just one kezait, an olive size from a corpse, that's enough to make something tameh, and so that's also the minimum size for carrying on Shabbat. Kezait min hanebela, for a dead animal that didn't die by shechita but died on its own, is also a kezait to become tameh, and so that's for carrying as well. And chadasha min hasheretz hayav. Sheretz, one of the 8 creepy crawling animals that tameh when they are dead, and they have a higher level that even a lentil size is chayav, and so too a lentil size is the minimum amount to carry it outside to be chayav. So there's a link between the laws of Tumah and the laws of Shabbat. That which makes it something significant for Tumah makes it significant for carrying on Shabbat also. And but this connection is going to come up again at the end of the daf. Rabbi Shimon poter. This is very important. Rabbi Shimon says all these cases patur. Why? Because he says that melacha she'ena sericha legufa is patur. This is a very important principle that we find throughout Masechet Shabbat, and this actually is the main source that we know this. It means that a melacha that you're not doing for its defined purpose, although it is different from other things that are like shinui, mitasek, davash mitkaven, this one in a way covers a lot more. The point is that the defined purpose of carrying, according to the official list, is because you want something to be at its destination. I'm taking some merchandise and I'm carrying it out to the marketplace because I want it to be in the marketplace. So that's the goal. However, in this case, Rabbi Shimon says, I'm taking out the corpse from the house because I don't want it in the house, right? It's smelling up the place and I got to get it out. So therefore, the goal of although it's a constructive goal and I have intention to do it and I'm doing it in the normal way, still patur because I'm not doing it in the way that's defined officially, which is to get it to the destination, not to get it out of the house. Okay, so we'll see, we'll discuss further applications of this principle. We'll start the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, quoting a Baraita, Mosi ochalin kashi'ur, im bakeli chayav ala ochalin, upatur al hakeli. V'malai hakeli sarich lo, chayav af al hakeli. Someone carries food, where the Mishnah mentioned less than a shi'ur. If it is a shi'ur, then if it's in a basket, you're chayav on the food and not on the basket, because the basket is tafel. The Mishnah's case was only less than a kezayit, less than a get the food, and that's why it was patur altogether. But here, chayav on the food, but not for the basket. However, if he wanted the basket and he had some use for it, and wherever he's going, then he's chayav also on the kli. This suggests that he's chayav twice for the food and the kli, like he would have to bring 2 hatat offerings. So that's what we're going to question. Shema mina ochel sheneze techele be'elem achad chayav shetayim. Can we learn from this that if I have 2 kezayits of forbidden fat in one lapse of judgment, one lapse of memory, that I'm going to have to bring also 2? But we discussed that extensively in previous dapim. That's not the case. Amarev sheshat hacha b'may askinan. Okay, go on. Sheshagag al ha'ochalin vehezid al hakeli. Here Shet says, talking about a case where the shogeg, I didn't know that the food was not allowed to carry, but I knew that the basket I was not allowed to carry, and I did it anyway. So therefore, it's 2 different punishments. For the food, which was bishogeg, I have to bring a korban. For the basket, which I knew, right? For the food that I didn't know was shogeg, and for the basket, which I knew, then I would be chayav mita. I mean, how could you have such a case? I don't know. Maybe a person thought food is allowed because you have to be oneg Shabbat, or maybe he didn't know the shi'ur, the food, and he thought it was less, but it's really more. Okay, so since it's 2 different punishments, in fact, he would be chayav 2 different things for the same act. That's how it could be. Matkif ladav Asher doesn't like that answer. V'ha af al hakeli katane. It said that if he wants the basket, he is chayav also for the basket. If it says also for the basket, it sounds like it's addition. It's the same thing. It's the same case and same type of punishment. So his explanation is creative, but doesn't fit the words. Ela amar Rav Asher, kegon sheshagag bazeh ubazeh v'noda lo v'chazar v'noda lo b'flukta Rabbi Yochanan v'Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. The case says that he forgot both of them. He carried a shi'ur in a basket, and for forgetting that carrying is not allowed. And then then someone reminded him and told him, "Oh, you know what? You carried food. Oh, okay, that's not good." And so now he says, "I have to bring a korban." At a different time, a different period, he remembered that he carried the basket, and so since the remembering was at 2 different instances, according to the Rabbi Yochanan, he has to bring 2 chatats. If he remembered all at once, it's all in one lapse. But remembering twice triggers 2 chatat offerings. Resh Lakish, way back when, we saw this a few dapim ago, said it doesn't matter, you combine them, it's only 1. And so therefore, it could be a case where you'd be chayav, in fact, 2 chataot for 1 act. We have that case regarding chelib, and we can have the case here with carrying a basket. Okay, so much for the carrying food in a basket. Now we get to the next part of the Mishnah, the hay b'mita, patur af al hamita. Carrying a live person on the stretcher, you're patur even on the stretcher because it's batel. Lema matnitin Rabbi Natan hi v'lo Rabbanan. It looks like the author of this Mishnah would be the minority to be Natan and not the majority of Rabbanan, because they have a machloket regarding animals. Let's see, carrying them. The Tanya, hamosi behema chayav ha'of l'shut harabim, ben hayin ben shechutin chayav. So the majority opinion says all animals, whether they are alive or dead, if you carry them, they're chayav, even if they're alive. So you see that according to Chachamim, being alive doesn't help. So they don't have the principle of Chay Noseh et Asmo. Rabbi Natan, however, says, Al Shechutin hayav, Al Hayin patur, Shehai Noseh et Asmo. Dead animals, if you carry them outside, hayav. But live animals, patur, because they're alive, they carry themselves. So you see that only Rabbi Natan has that principle, and if we apply it to our Mishnah, humans too, then as the Mishnah says, carrying a live person is patur. That fits with Rabbi Natan, who says carrying a live animal is patur. Okay, the answer you could probably guess. Amar Rava, afilu tema Rabbanan ad kan la pelige Rabbanan ale de Rabbi Natan ela bibhema hayav ha'of דמשתר ביתי נפשייהו. אבל אדם חי דנושא את עצמו, אפילו רבנן מודו. So Rava answers, he says, no, the machloket between the Chachamim and Rabbi Natan is only regarding animals and birds, because if you try to carry them, capture them and carry them, they stiffen up and they try to get away, and it's actually harder to carry a live bird than a dead bird. So that's why, in that case, Rabbanan say, no, a live bird is also considered carrying. But everyone agree. Even Rabbanan would agree with Rabbi Natan when it comes to a human being, you try to carry them, they balance themselves. They actually are assisting you in carrying them. And so therefore, they would agree. Okay.
What about people who won't carry their kids, right? Once they start walking, and then you see them crying on the street, and they don't
right.
move.
Good. So this is actually a very practical and important halacha. If a kid can walk, then you're allowed to carry them. A little baby who can't walk, you're not allowed to carry. Right? So yeah, even if they can't walk the whole way, or they fall and they trip and they need help carrying, you're allowed to carry them.
Right, but this says patur, not it's not mutar.
This says patur. In fact, it is mutar. Yeah. So it's hard to know when it says mutar patur if it's mutar also, but you're right. Okay. So okay, good. So now this could be according to everybody, but we're not out of the woods yet here. Ben betera matir basus. Okay, this gets into a slightly different topic, but it's going to be related. This is a proof that requires connecting three different things. So this is a Mishnah that's found in Masechet Pesachim and the Masechet Avodah Zarah. And it's talking about selling animals to non-Jews. It says you're not allowed to sell animals to non-Jews. Why? Because if you sell them, in other cases, you might rent them or partner with them, and they might work those animals on Shabbat. And so if you have even partial ownership of the animal, and even if someone else, even if a non-Jew works it on Shabbat, you are violating Shabbat because we have to let our animals rest. And so as an extra precaution, the rabbis say, you're not allowed to sell any animals to non-Jews. It's very interesting, Okay. However, the Ben Betera says horses are allowed because horses are not used in agricultural work. They're not pulling plows. Horses are only made to ride on. And so riding on a horse is, what kind of prohibition is that? Betanya ben betera matir basus mipnei shehu oseh bo melacha she'en hayavin alav chatat. Riding a horse would not trigger a chatat, even if you did it, because hay noseh et asmo. Person riding a horse is alive, and so therefore the horse is not carrying when it's carrying a human being, and so therefore it's asur midirabanan, but not midoraita, and so therefore you're allowed to sell a horse to a non-Jew, because the worst that he would do is ride the horse, and even if it was a rental and he rides it, it's still only midirabanan. Okay, this is all very interesting because a total tangent. Only Talmud Bavli thinks that riding a horse is derabanan. In the Tanaitic Midrashim and in the Talmud Yerushalmi, that they consider riding a horse to be deoraita. That's using a horse. And so maybe, if I carry a person, chay noseh et asmo, but a horse carrying a person, you don't necessarily apply that principle. For the horse, it's still a burden. Okay, but anyway, the Bavli is applying it in both categories, and perhaps this is why. Perhaps because you say chay noseh et asmo for a human being carrying, we apply it also to a horse, and therefore it can't be a doraita, so it turns into a drabanan, and that's why the Bavli says, why can't you ride a horse? Because you might come to pull up off a branch in order to whip the horse with. Okay, but that's a tangent.
American farming
Maybe I can't hear you well. Okay.
1800s, horses were always used for plowing, by the way.
What? Say it again?
In American farming industry in the 1700s, 1800s, horses were always used for plowing.
For plowing, really? Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why I wonder why they weren't used in Israel. Maybe they weren't so common, or maybe they
They
weren't
weren't,
tame.
they weren't indigenous. Right.
Yeah,
And
maybe
the,
they might have been
the hill and the rock
wild or
didn't lend
yeah,
themselves to that terrain.
weren't trained for it. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, chayav alav hatat. Now, okay, so far, ve'amar bi Yochanan ben Betera ve'Rabbi Natan amru davar echad. We have another tradition from Rabbi Yochanan, who says that ben Betera and Rabbi Natan say the same thing. They agree with each other. Now, v'i amat ela pligi Rabbanan aleh de Rabbi Natan ela bibhema hayav ha'of mishum de mishtarbe nafshayhu. My idia ben betera ve'Rabbi Natan, v'hamat afilu Rabbanan modu. So now, if we put this all together, if indeed the rabbis, the rabbis say that a human being we apply hay noseh et atzmo, but not for animals, but for human beings, yes, right? Which is the answer we said we just said above the paragraph above. Well, if that's the case, then everyone should be in agreement regarding the horse. That Ben Betera says a horse is allowed to sell because it carries human beings, and human beings is not chayav because chay noseh et atzmo. And so Rabbi Yochanan, when he says Ben Betera agrees with Rabbi Natan about this, he shouldn't have said that. He should have said Ben Betera agrees with everybody about this. Not only Rabbi Natan, who says that animals are allowed, live animals carry themselves, but also Rabbanan, because we're talking about carrying human beings, horses carrying human beings. And so you see that the previous answer, which was said by Rava, does not work with this statement, which was said by Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, we're going to try to answer it. Ki amar Rabbi Yochanan besusa miyuchad le'afot. Oh, Rabbi Yochanan was talking about a horse that is made to carry birds. And so carrying birds, according to Rabbanan, is not allowed. According to Rabbi Natan, is allowed. And that's why he said specifically that's like Rabbi Natan. All right, it sounds like a stretch. What do you mean this carrying birds? So Gemara asks, are there bird-carrying horses? In the Ika Debe Vayadan. They carry hunters' falcons. That they would use falcons to go and hunt other birds, and they didn't want the falcons to get tired out, and so they would ride horses on their way to the hunting site, and so they had horses that would carry falcons, and so it's in that case in which Rabbi Yochanan said that this follows Rabbi Natan, who says that carrying live birds would be okay and not Rabbanan. Okay, so that works. Amar Rabbi Yochanan modeh Rabbi Natan bechafut. Rabbi Yochanan says another thing regarding about Rabbi Natan, that he agrees that if a person is bound up and so they can't move on their own, then it's prohibited. Then carrying a person would be chayav because they can't walk if they're bound up, right? And they can't kind of help themselves out. Amar le Rabada bar matana l'Abaye veha hane parsa'e tichman dechfitu damu. Okay, this is a funny question. These Persian officials, these Persian knights, they would ride on horses all the time. They were cavalrymen, and they had these big baggy pants and big armor, and they could barely walk on their own. And so they would just ride horses everywhere all the time. And so these Persians, although they're not bound up, they're almost like bound up because we never see them walking. And so perhaps if we sell a horse to a Persian cavalryman, would that be prohibited? Because their horses are carrying bound up people, which everyone agrees is chayav. However, Rabbi Yochanan, who just said that, also said that Ben Betera agrees with Rabbi Natan, and according to this would be a problem because Ben Betera says you can sell horses. He doesn't make an exception, says not to Persians, says you can sell to everyone, including Persians. But Rabbi Natan said that Persians, the way they use their horses, they are like bound up people on their horses, so should be prohibited. Okay, so how do we resolve that? Hatam ramut ruchahu denaket lehu. No, these Persian officials are not really bound up. They're just haughty, and they want to show how important they are. So they're always going to walk around with always go on horseback. Dahu par dashka dirtach malka ilave urehet telata parse bechadai. And actually, there was a story that the Persian king, got angry and at an officer, and this officer didn't have time to mount his horse. He ran on foot for 3 parsangs. So you see, they know how to walk, they know how to run, and so they're not considered really like they're bound. Okay, I think this whole thing is a little bit funny and probably making fun of these Persian officials, how they're so haughty and they never touch the ground. And so it's almost as if they are bound up. All right, and so that brings us to the next line of the Mishnah. Tamet b'mita hayav v'chen kezait min hamet. Carrying a corpse is prohibited, and also a piece of a corpse. Amar Rabba bar Hana Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yosef Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. So both Rabbi Yochanan ben Lakish, the 2 first generation Israeli Amoraim, their students say that they agree about this halacha. Poter haya Rabbi Shimon af mosi et hamet lekobero. Okay, so remember, Rabbi Shimon said that in all cases, even carrying out a corpse is patur, because my goal is to get it out of the house, and it's not to get it to its destination. Here, these Amoraim say, Rabbi Shimon would even agree if I take the corpse to the graveyard, right? And there you would think my goal is to get it to its destination, right? That's where it needs to go. I might think chayav, and Rabbi Shimon says patur even in this case. We'll see. The reason is because although getting buried is good for the dead person, that's its goal. But for the live person, there's no direct benefit in that. And so for the live person, they want to get it out, even though for the dead person, they want to get there. Okay. Amar Rava, umodeh Rabbi Shimon b'mad lachpor bo v'sefer Torah likrot bo dehayav. Rabbi Shimon agrees that if you have a hoe and you're taking it out to dig with it, or Sefer Torah, and you're going to take it outside because you want to read it, so then you're going to be using it at its destination. So he agrees that in those cases, hayav, because you want it to get to the destination. We say peshita, of course, isn't that obvious? I mean, that's the nami melacha she'ena sericha legufahi, ela melacha she'sericha legufa l'Rabbi Shimon hechi mashkachat la. If that's not a melacha according to the defined definition, then what is, right? I mean, this seems to be the typical case where I'm taking something out because I want to use it in the Reshut Rabim at the destination. So isn't that obvious? Adi kalegufo ulgufa kegon mar laasot lo tas velachpor sefer Torah lagia velikrot bo kamashma lan. Well, I might have thought that I need 2 things. I need to, like, when carrying it out, I need it to be ligufo, something that I want. I want it there. And ligufa, that's also good for the item that I'm carrying it out. Has to be beneficial both for the carrier and for the carried. For example, if I take a hoe out because it has a dent in it, and I'm taking it outside so that I can fix it and so that I can use it. Well, that benefits the hoe because it's getting fixed, and it benefits me so that I could use it. Or I'm going to take a Sefer Torah and move it from one reshut to another, first because I want to fix it, any mistake in it, and then I want to read it. So that's good for the Sefer Torah, and it's good for me. I might have thought I need both. And so this teaches us, no, you don't need both. All you need is that it should be for the good of the carrier. That the carrier, I want it out there, and that is considered the defined melacha shesiricha legufa. And so you see, regarding the dead body, it's all if it's just to get it to the cemetery, that is not considered my benefit. I mean, I don't know, you might question this, people have a sense of closure when they bury someone, but it's more indirect, right? It's really that they're carrying it out because they don't want it where it is. Okay, now we have a story about Hahu Shachba Tava Bid Rokra. There's a corpse in a certain city. Shirad Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak la'poked la'Carmelit, and Rav Nachman says you can take it out to the Carmelit, that in between area. אמר לרבי יוחנן, אחו דמר ברד רבנן רב נחמן בר יצחק, כמן כרבי שמעון, אמר דפטר רבי שמעון מחיוב חטאת. Isura darabanan mihaika. How could he have allowed? How could Rabbi Nachman have permitted moving the corpse? Even if he's following Rabbi Shimon only said patur, but patur means you don't have to bring a korban. It's still it's asur midrabanan. Amarle, Rabbi Nachman's answer was Ha Elohim da'ailat be'at. He says, by God, have you entered into it? Have you studied the subject? Don't you know what you're talking about? I feel that Rabbi Yehuda share the mi kamina l'shut harabim the karmanit kamina. Everyone would agree with my Pesach halacha. Even Rabbi Yehuda, who says he's the author, he's the same as Rabbanan in our Mishnah. He represents the majority opinion. Rabbi Yehuda is more machmid. He says melacha she'ena sericha legufa chayav. Even Rabbi Yehuda, who says Hayav, that's only moving it from Reshut HaYachid to Reshut HaRabim, because that's the Oraita. But Carmelit is the Rabbanan. I only said to move it into Carmelit. That's all I permitted. And so everyone would agree with me. Why? Gadol kevod haberiyot shedoche et lo ta'aseh shebatorah. The honor of human dignity trumps even a prohibition of the Torah. Okay, what's the human dignity here? Perhaps human dignity for the people in the house because corpse is smelling, or perhaps human dignity for the dead body that they could take care of it better in the place that they will move it. Okay, so this can actually, although it says it trumps even lo taseh shebat Torah, and perhaps in the original formulation that is what it was talking about. The original formulation seems to be regarding if you find something in the street and you have to return it to its owner. Let's say you find something that's all big and heavy or disgusting and below your honor to return it, so you don't have to return it. So the human dignity of the returner trumps the obligation to return it, and that would be in fact a law. Well, also a law ta'aseh. Don't keep it or don't ignore it. Okay, but in this case. Even if that's the origin, in this case, we assume that we can only apply this to a drabanan. Only for a drabanan does human dignity trump it. For a doraita, that would be more complicated. Okay, anyway, he's saying everyone would agree for a drabanan, human dignity is more important, and so everyone would agree that you're allowed to move the body. Okay, good. Tanadatam hatolesh simane tum'ah vehichva hamichya. Okay, this is regarding the laws of skin disease, where the halacha says, if there are 2 hairs, it's tameh. Less than that, it's tahor. Okay, so this is a Mishnah not talking about Shabbat, it's talking about the laws of leprosy. If someone removes hairs, or that show that person's tameh, or he burns the skin, in order so that it won't look like it's tameh anymore. In other words, he has a leprous thing and he changes it so that he removes the sign. That's not allowed because you're not supposed to ignore it. If you have a skin disease, you have to bring it to the kohen. If you're tameh, then you have to go through the ritual. You can't just pluck out the hairs. Okay, so that's a halacha regarding sarat. Itamar achat mishetayim hayav, achat mishalosh. Rav Nachman amar chayab, Rav Sheshat amar patur. If there's 2 hairs there and you take out one of them, chayav, because now you're changing it from tameh to tahor. 2 hairs is tameh, 1 hair is tahor. But let's say there's 3 hairs, and so now even if you take out one, right, you're not changing the status because there's still 2 left, so it will still be tameh. So here's the machlokes. Rav Nachman says chayav, Rav Sheshat says patur. Why? Rav Nachman says chayav. Ahani ma'asav di mishtakela hada ahariti as la tum'ah. He says chayab because your action did something. If another one of them would fall out or come out somehow, then it would be changing. Even though right now this is not changing, you're making it more likely that some other action that's not in your control will change it, and then therefore there's a possibility. So that's why he says chayav. Rav Sheshat is more mekel. He says, no, don't worry about what might happen. Right now, patur. Hashtamihat ha'ita letum'ah. Right now, you plucked out the one, and it's still tameh. So you didn't cause a change in status. Okay, now that has to do with laws of tum'ah, but it's related. Amar Rav Sheshet, mina amin ala, where, how do I know, what's my source? Here's the source, Titnan, v'chen kezayit min hamet, v'chezayit min hanebela, hayav, from our Mishnah. If you take one olive size from body, for nebela, also chayav. Now, hasizayit patur. It sounds like only a full kezayit would be chayav, but half a kezayit would be patur. That makes sense. But we have a baraita that contradicts it. Satanya hasizayit chayav. Even carrying a hasizayit from a dead body is hayav. So how do we resolve this contradiction? My love, had the tanya hayav dapik hasizayit mikezayit. When it says hayav in that baraita, it's all I had to begin with was a kezayit. If I remove half of a kezayit and take it out, then I am changing the status from a size that is tameh to a size that is patur. And because I'm changing the status, even a half of a kezayit is significant. Whereas the Mishnah that says patur, the apek hasizayit mikezayit umechasa, is a case where I had a kezayit and a half, and I took half a kezayit, and so I did not change the status, and so that's why it's not significant and patur. Ram Nachman, that's what Rav Sheshet said. Ram Nachman say, what did I say about that? Idi v'idi chayav. In both those cases, it will be chayav, because if you even had 1.5 and I take out half, I'm making it that much more likely that some other bit of it might get removed, and then I would be changing the status, and then that would be the problem. It would change the status, then it would become significant. V'haditnan patur, in that baraita, so patur that pek chasizayit mimet gadol. That's when we had a big piece of a dead body or a dead animal, and I only took one kezayit, so there's no way I'm affecting it, even potentially, and so therefore this case is parallel to the previous one. Okay, let's go a little bit further and look at the next Mishnah, which is also a practical halacha regarding cutting nails. I know tel sipornav zo bazo or bishinav. If someone removes their nails one with the other, or biting nails, also pulling hair out of your head, of mustache, pulling hairs out of one's beard, v'chen hagodelet, making a braid, v'chen hakohelet, putting eyeshadow on, v'chen hapokeset, putting on red blush. Rabbi Eliezer mechayev. All these things, Rabbi Eliezer says chayav. See, the first set of things is not the normal way. Usually you use scissors or a nail clipper to cut hair and nails. And so everyone would agree if you use a utensil, that's chayav, that's the normal way. However, this is an abnormal way. The Rabbi Eliezer still says chayav. I guess this is done, you're still violating. Hachamim omrim mishum oserim mishum shivut. Hachamim say this is the abnormal way to do it, and therefore it does not fit into the category of being asur mideoraita. Rather, it's a lesser category, shivut. In the Bavli, shivut always means a drabanan. In Tanaitic sources, shivut is still doraita, but it doesn't trigger a korban or any other punishment. And so it's not restful to do this. These are not what we call Shabbistic, right? To be sitting there plucking hairs out or biting nails. It's not the right thing to do. Okay, so that's the Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Elazar machloket biyad aval bikli hayab. So he says that they only argue regarding doing it by hand or biting your nails. But if you use nail clippers, then everyone would agree chayav. Now pishita, isn't that obvious? Of course they would all agree it's chayav. Zo bazotanan, it says doing it eat the nails with each other, right? And it doesn't say nail clippers. That's why. Well, I still, to be honest, I had to say that because I might have thought that the Rabbanan who say patur in this case, they might have said patur even regarding using a utensil. And the fact that says doing it as zobazo with the other hand is only to teach you what to be Eliezer, the extent of his chumrah, his machmir, even with that utensil. So I might have thought that that's why he uses that case, but in fact, really, even using a utensil, Hachamim would say is patur, and that's why the Elazar had to come and say that a utensil is not, because it's not necessarily clear from the Mishnah. Mishnah has to pick one case, and there will be a chidush for one and not the other, and so he wants to make sure to clarify that. Same thing in the next paragraph. Amar Rabbi Elazar machloket le'asmo aval le'chavero dibrei hakol patur. It only applies to oneself. If I bite someone else's nails, or that sounds gross, or pluck someone else's hair out with my hands, right? Then everyone also would agree patur. We say peshita sipornav. Isn't that explicit in the Mishnah? It says your own nails in the Mishnah. Well, I might have thought to be Eliezer l'chavero nami mechayev. Maybe the Eliezer would also say it's chayav if I do it to my friend, do it to someone else. And it only says the case about your own nails to tell you that the Rabbanan are mekel, say patur in that case. So therefore, he has to come to teach us that no, in fact, sipornav is dafka. It's your own nails in all cases, and even Rabbi Elazar who says chayav is only in your own nails, but not if it was someone else's nails. Someone else, everyone would agree it's patur. Okay, almost done here. We'll just go to the bottom of this page. V'chen se'aro, so also hair. Tana hanotel melo pi hazug hayav. How much hair that if you would pull out would be hayav? Enough of the opening of the scissors, zug, which means a pair. That's how they call what they call scissors. How many is that? 2 hairs. Wait a second, that doesn't make sense because the Braita says, or continues, and it says regarding the isur of making your head bald in mourning, you're not allowed to pull out your hair in mourning, and the Mishnah says for that it's 2. And that sounds like the previous one was not 2. If it says, for scissors something, right? Zug, and then for being bald, 2. Sounds like there's a contrast. So no, don't read it like that. It says also, for both are the same. And we can bring a proof of that. Anotel melo pi zug b'Shabbat hayav. V'kama melo pi zug shetayim. Okay, so right, that says explicitly that the scissors worth means 2. The Eliezer Omer Achat, okay, he's more machmir in general, and he's more machmir here, even 1 hair. Modim chamim Rabbi Eliezer b'melachet lebanot mitoch shehorot shafilu achat hayab. And he would agree that if you're specifically targeting the white hairs and taking out the white hairs out of the black hairs, even 1 is chayav. Everybody would agree. Even the Rabbanan would agree with the Eliezer. And not only is it prohibited on Shabbat, it's even prohibited during the week. Because that would be like cross-dressing. That's the way of women to make sure their hair is all black and then pluck out the hairs. But men generally don't do that unless you're Osama bin Laden. And therefore that would be considered the way of women, and so is okay. And so therefore that's everyone agrees that taking white out of black would be a problem. I wonder if it's also borer, right? Maybe that too. Okay, doesn't bring up that. Okay, last point here. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar omer siporen sheperash ruba vesisin shepershu ruban beyad mutar bekli hayav hatat. So if you have a hangnail, nail that most of it came off, or the skin around it, the cuticles that are coming off, and so it's bothering you on Shabbat, you're allowed with your hand to tear off the rest, but not using a utensil. If you use utensil, chayav chatat. So this is interesting. You have either, if you do it by hand, it's mutar. You can do it, lechatechila. If you do it with utensil, chayav chatat, all the way prohibited midoraita. So we question that mika mideh tebichli chayav chatat or biad mutar lechatechila. Have you ever heard of such a thing? That if you do it by hand, if you do it with if utensil, chayav chata. If you do it by hand, it's okay, lechatechila. Usually you only go, it's one step removed. Doing it by hand is a little better. And so it should go from doraita to Rabbanan, or to Rabbanan to mutar. And not like this big jump. Hachikama, you're right. This is how we should explain it. Pershu ruban beyad mutar bechli patur aval asur. If most of the nail came off, then you're allowed to do it with the hand. If you do it with utensil, asur midrabanan. Lo pershu ruban, but if most of it's on, there's just a little bit came off, then beyad patur aval asur bechli chayav hatat. With your hand, asur midrabanan, using utensil is chayav deoraita. And so now we solve that problem. Amar Rav Yehuda, halacha k'Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. This is in fact the halacha. Amar Rabba bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, hu shepirshu kelape ma'ala u'misarot oto. Hold on, it's true. That is the halacha that is allowed if it's mostly off, but that's only if the cut is on towards the top, is facing up, and therefore it's very painful. But if it's facing down, it's not so painful, and so therefore that would be allowed. Halacha l'maaseh, the Achronim have a debate what this means, facing up, facing down. Nobody quite knows what it means. And so therefore, halacha l'maaseh is any case in which you have a hangnail or something that's mostly off and is bothering you, you're allowed to remove it using your hands, but not using a utensil. Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen ve'amen.
So it seems like it's going back more closely to the Tannaitic position.
Right. In other words, there's a shift to kula, and then pulling back, saying not necessarily, not exactly in every case.